The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to today's ChemCareers webinar. This afternoon we'll be talking about applying to be a professional member. My name's Laura Woodward and I'm a Career and Professional Development Advisor here at the Royal Society of Chemistry, and I shall get my colleague Katie, and we're also joined by Hannah to introduce themselves. So Katie, if you want to go first.
Hi, I'm Katie Springham. I'm the Membership Development Executive at the RSC, and a lot of my role entails making sure that people have the right benefits of the right category to help them progress through their career and through our membership as well.
Hi, I'm Hannah Ash. I'm a membership application specialist. My role involves looking at all the applications when they come through, ensuring that people are applying for the appropriate category, that they qualifications meet the requirements.
Okay, so Katie's going to give a presentation now. Before we start though, I guess it would be useful to know from those of you that are listening what category of membership you currently are. So I'm just going to launch a quick poll, which is not coming up. There we go. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to have a look at that poll. And then that helped Katie with her presentation as well. Okay, so thank you all for doing that. And I will now pass over to Katie. We will take questions at the end, but if you want to type those in as we're going through, that's absolutely fine, and we'll try and get through as many as we can at the end. So Katie, over to you.
Thanks, Laura. So the first thing I wanted to show you is just quickly our membership infographic. So it basically just details our categories of membership and how you can move through the member journey once you join us. It's important to note that you can join us at any membership category that is appropriate for you at that time. You don't have to say join as an affiliate and then work your way through the rest of them. You know, you join at the right one for you at this current moment in time. This webinar is probably is going to concentrate on our professional categories of membership, so associate member, member and fellow. So I'm not really going to be talking about student membership or affiliate membership at this point in time, but if you are interested, just email us. I'll put our details up at the end, and we can let you know some more information about that. So we are going to look at associate member, member and fellow going forwards. So first I'm going to start with associate member, and it's our first professional category of membership. So it's for those who have that degree level knowledge in the chemical sciences and have less than 3 years professional experience. So they're quite newly qualified. Also, we would look at people for associate membership that have just come through on vocational experience. You know, we do recognise that not everyone that joins us in membership has got that degree or anything like that, and they can come through and take that vocational route to building up their chemical science knowledge. So we would be happy to assess membership on that as well. Associate member is £82 for a year, and we do run membership on a calendar year basis. So membership runs from 1st of January to the 31st of December every year. It's also important to note that if you are looking at associate membership as well, but you're actually in full-time education still, so someone who is perhaps doing a discrete master's qualification or a PhD, they would also be eligible for associate membership as well, and they can pay the full-time student rate of £20 a year. So quickly moving on to membership. So this is our main category of membership. So we have about 24,000 members in our member category of membership every year, roughly. And this is for people who have, they can demonstrate that they clearly have that degree level knowledge in the chemical sciences and they have gained a minimum of 3 years professional experience on top of that. And this professional experience, it can be gained, as I said before, either through working, being in the workplace, or actually studying. So we would count the years worked in a PhD perhaps, or studying a PhD, as being part of that 3 years professional experience. Again, we would look at people who have built up their degree level knowledge of the chemical sciences through a vocational route, so learning on the job. And sorry, I should have said before, for associate member, we are probably roughly looking at 6 to 7 years of working in the chemical sciences and building up that knowledge to get that degree level knowledge experience under your belt. For member, we're probably looking at sort of 9 to 10 years as well there. And when we are looking at CVs for assessing on just pure experience, we're probably looking at for you to demonstrate that you've made significant progression in your career in that time, and you're having an impact in the chemical sciences, and you have clearly built up that knowledge and those skills needed as well. Member is £136 a year. Again, if you were a student at this point, you can have MRSC at the student rate if you are a full-time student. I think that's also important to note. So just some general application advice on applying for associate member and member with us. So your first step would be to complete an application form. So there's sort of two main ways of doing this with us. Probably the easiest way is to do it online. So if you go to our website and membership and then join us, select the appropriate category for you and then join online, and that will take you through our online joining process. So you just need to fill that form in and click submit at the end, and that will come through to us for processing. The other way, again, is to go to our website and select membership and then your category of choice. And then there will be a button that says apply by post. So that will download our interactive PDF application form. So just select the category that you're wanting to apply for, fill it in completely, and then just email that across to us at membership@rsc.org, and we will begin processing from there. So alongside your application form, we will ask you to provide a copy of your CV, providing a clear picture of your experience up to date. When submitting your CV, and we will have a little bit of CV guidance later, please make sure it's an up-to-date version of your CV. That way we've got a really good picture of where you're coming. And again, particularly if we're assessing this or your application purely on your work experience, then really highlight where you're using your chemical science and what impact that's having, and really show progression throughout your career. You also have to nominate referees, and actually usually when people apply to become a member, the bulk of the questions that we get are actually around referees. And apologies, it should say here, if you're applying for AMRSC, we need 1 referee, not 2. But if you're applying for MRSC, we need 2 referees. So people tend to ask us who can be a referee for them. And ideally, we would love it if they were already a member with us, but we do understand that that's not always possible. So if you can pick someone who knows you, knows your work, and can give a really good account of where you're at right now, that would be ideal. So just bear that in mind. Another thing to say is usually waiting for the referees to come back is the bit that holds up people's application in the joining process. So if you just give your referees perhaps an email, or to speak to them if you can personally, just letting them know that it's coming their way, then that might actually sort of reduce that time that we're waiting for the reference to come back. And therefore we can process your application a little quicker and actually get you into membership a little quicker as well. If you don't have an accredited degree, so just to explain that a little bit, we do actually, as an organisation, accredit degrees both in the UK and Ireland, but also around the world. If you don't have one of those, we will ask you to provide a copy of your degree transcript alongside it as well, just so the person that's assessing that qualification can actually see what subjects were studied within your degree, and we can make a judgment based on that. If you don't know if your degree is accredited, that's okay. There is a list online that you can have a look at if you sort of go to our website. And again, if you go to the membership area and then accredited degrees, we've got a list and you can have a look to see if yours is accredited by us or not. And the last tip that I would give, particularly again if we're assessing it by qualifications, include the titles of all dissertations and theses that you have on your CV. Because on people's transcripts, it will just say research project. And unless the qualification specialist knows what that is, it can be difficult to sort of give you the credits for that perhaps you do deserve. So we would be interested in dissertations and theses as well. Sometimes also an abstract can be handy also. So yeah. So for fellow, so to be eligible to apply for Fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry, we would be looking for someone who's had at least 5 years in a senior position in an organisation or company or institution, and that their work has made a significant impact on their field of the chemical sciences. So really, as a fellow, yours is a position of influence within the community, and we want to harness your experience, your expertise, and your guidance and really help you to help promote the value of chemistry. So really here, we are providing, hopefully, you with the benefits that allows you to showcase and develop your talents to sort of nurture others as well. Fellow is £157 per year, and there is also a £100 non-refundable application fee, and that is for both those who are joining new, so if you're going from being not a member to fellow, and also upgrading from member to fellow or associate member to fellow as well, that £100 application fee would stand.
You want me to do this bit? Okay. So part of my role is that I support anyone who is considering applying to become a fellow. So actually, before you even want to apply, we can certainly help you by sort of looking at your CV, making a judgment as to whether you're at that level or whether you need to kind of come back at a later date, or whether you just need to give us a bit more information. So certainly for the fellow application for your CV, it's really important that you kind of give the admissions committee as much detail as possible, really. So as it says there, write about what you do and what you've done, almost as though the committee don't know anything about your sort of field of work or the job that you hold. But there's some important things that you will need to include. Make sure you're telling them about the size of the company, what the company does. You can include an organogram, so to sort of show where you sit within the organisation. Highlight your level of seniority, so highlight things like budgeting responsibilities. Also talk about your sort of line management responsibilities, and include the details of the levels of the people that report to you. And what's really important as well is this statement, so really talking about the sort of impacts that you've had within your position over the last 5 years. And make sure you include specific details about what you've actually done. So don't just make sort of very general statements about your experience. Don't just simply write job titles and assume that that's going to be enough. The committee are going to want to have a good understanding of the specific things that you've done and highlight what that's meant, what that impact has been within the organisation. Hannah, I don't know whether there's anything you want to add to that in terms of fellow applications.
Yeah, as Laura said, it's the committee are looking for information on your impacts and information around your work. You know, it doesn't matter about what the team have done. It's about you, and so it's really important to make sure that you're really putting in that information of your impacts and your work. As Laura said, don't just put job titles, because you know one job title in one company could mean something completely different in another company. So you know, a senior scientist could be quite senior within one company, but actually another company might not be quite the same grade. So don't just put job titles. Do put, you know, your responsibilities under each role that you've had within the CV. I think that's probably the most important thing.
And I think, again, it's that focusing on the personal impact that you've had. That's what, as a fellow, that's what you're wanting to demonstrate, that actually you do have that personal impact within the chemical sciences. So really kind of hone your statement and your CV around those things.
So you've probably noticed that we're talking a lot about sort of a committee there, and I just wanted to take the time perhaps to demystify what actually happens once you actually click send and your application comes to us in-house. So once it arrives to us, we will, if we haven't already got it, ask for a CV, perhaps copies of degrees, transcripts if they're necessary. And we will try and get those off of you as soon as we can. We'll also basically ask for 1 or 2 referees, depending on what category you've applied for. So 1 would be associate member, 2 would be both member and fellow. And we would send those off and request a response from them. So both the referees that you should nominate, and know I've said this before, should either be members with us or know you and have a good grasp of what you do on a day-to-day basis. So a line manager, a senior colleague, director, head of school, that sort of thing would be absolutely perfect in terms of who should be a referee as well. So once we've got all that evidence together, we've got one of 2 options really of how to submit your process your application. And the first one would be that the RSC Admissions Committee has given certain members of staff within the RSC office delegated authority to assess people's applications. So we will be going through, looking to see whether this applicant meets the certain requirements for associate member or fellow. So to give you a general idea, you know, within a bachelor's honours degree, we're looking for roughly 33% pure chemistry within a degree or 50% chemical science. So when you do send that transcript through, obviously, as I said before, dissertation titles, thesis titles, they can all help to make up those percentages. So do let us know what they are. Also, if you've got titles within your transcripts that you think, you know, yes, actually there's a huge quantity of chemical science within that module title, but it doesn't particularly come across from the title, then please do send us across a little bit of information about what that module actually included, and therefore we can include that in our assessment as well. Perhaps if the applicant is a little bit more borderline, and this tends to happen a little bit more with fellow applications as well, we will send the application through to admissions committee. The committee sits 4 times a year, usually in February, May, September and November, and they will look through the applications and make an assessment based on their experiences as well. So the majority of the admissions committee our FRSC, but we do have a few members as well on there. They also come from a range of backgrounds. So we have academics, people from the nuclear industry, pharmaceuticals, the defence sector as well. So even though, you know, we do have that breadth within the committee, as we said before, when particularly for fellow, but this applies for all categories, make sure that your CV is written as if the committee know absolutely nothing about what you do, because, you know, they are sort of looking at it from that outside point of view. So once perhaps it's gone to committee, they have got 3 options of what they can do. So they can either choose to admit you to the category that you applied for, if they feel that, you know, they can see that you are actually at the right level and they're very happy with that, so they can do that. The second one is they may decide they don't quite have enough information, or the information that is given to them is not quite clear, but they can see that perhaps you could be at the right level. And they will choose to defer that application and ask for more information, and we will get back to you in the office and tell you what that could look like. And the last option that they have is to offer you an alternative category of membership, usually. So those are the 3 options that could happen, and we'll let you know the outcome very soon after the committee meets. So that is generally what happens to your application once it arrives to us. So it is quite, I say, simple, straightforward process. It is. And as I said, it is just usually the referees that tend to hold things up. You know, we could be waiting a little time for those to get back to us. So between us, I'm sure we can all nudge people politely and ask them to respond promptly. So yeah.
If anyone's got any questions, if you want to type those in, I've jotted down a couple already, so I'll perhaps ask you those while people are typing anything else in. So I think you maybe have touched on this already, but just I guess to clarify, someone was asking if they'd applied for a certain category and actually they didn't have the criteria for that, but they met a lower category. We'd sort of feed that back to them, presumably?
Yeah, so we would offer them an alternative category, and where applicable, we would share with them the information about when we think they would then be ready to reapply for that category as well. Yeah. So, yeah.
And you possibly can't give a definitive answer to this, but how long does it, if someone went today and clicked on to apply, how long would it on average take?
Wow.
Hannah, you can answer that.
So we try not to let an application run any more than 4 months. So once you've submitted it to us, we then email you back with an acknowledgement email asking you to provide any additional information that we may need, so CV or degree certificates. You will be chased fortnightly for that evidence. If by the 3rd chase we still haven't got it, you'd be informed that you would be being admitted as an affiliate member, because we don't have the required information to be able to admit you to the category you applied for. Similarly with the referees as well. So if you've provided all of the information we need, but we're waiting for your referee, we do send them reminders as well, prompting them. During the 2nd chase to that referee, you would be copied in, and it might be that we advise you to maybe think about providing an alternative referee, and then you can provide the nomination of a 3rd one, 4th one if you need to. But we are quite prompting that once you hit that 4-month mark, we only do so many chases, and then unfortunately we would admit you as an affiliate member until we could get the information that we needed.
Great, thanks Hannah. So questions are coming in thick and fast now. So someone here is asking, can they apply as a member if they are working in a non-lab role? Katie, do you want to answer that one?
The answer is yes, absolutely, of course you can. So when we are looking for that postgraduate experience, working at the graduate level, that can be in any role whatsoever, as long as you are working at a graduate level. So for example, I am a member. I work for the Royal Society of Chemistry as the Membership Development Executive, and I don't work in a lab-based role, but I am still a member. So yeah, please don't be put off by the fact that you don't necessarily work at the bench anymore. That's absolutely fine.
Okay, so someone here asking if they're a teacher, what level of membership would they apply for?
Okay, so yes, we would encourage teachers to apply for membership with us. Usually when teachers apply, we would definitely be looking at the degree content here, because when we're looking at people's applications, usually we're asking people to apply a degree level knowledge. So we assess the content of your degree, and we would be looking, as I said before, for the 33% pure chemistry or the 50% chemical science there. Again, any extra information you can give us around that would be absolutely wonderful. So please provide dissertations, thesis titles and abstract if necessary. Please do provide a little bit extra information about what the content of modules are, if you think that that will help us assess your application as well. But yeah, we would definitely welcome applications from teachers as well. And in terms of references and referees, anyone in the senior management team at your school would be perfect. If you didn't know another member, that would be great.
Okay. Someone here asking around, obviously, the cost difference between AMRSC and MRSC. So I'm wondering whether it's perhaps worth highlighting here, Katie, the additional benefits that you get by becoming a member over an associate member.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are quite a few differences in benefits between associate member and member. As I said before, a lot of my role is around making sure that the right benefits are in place at the right categories of membership to help you not only progress in your career, but progress through our membership journey as well. So the main differences really between associate member and fellow are to do with essentially supporting you in that career stage. So things geared around that. So the first thing I would say is, as a member, you can go for any of our chartered statuses. I don't know what the correct plural is there, so I apologise. So chartered chemist, chartered scientist, chartered science teacher, chartered environmentalist. Any of those professional awards which show that you have developed the skills in the workplace, the knowledge and the professionalism, you can go for a member and you can't go for associate. The other things that I would highlight is the increased access to the careers team. So you, associate member, can have one catalyst conversation with the careers team, face to face, by telephone, by Skype, with the careers team. When you're an associate member, you can have unlimited contact with the careers team at the member stage as well. You can also join more interest groups. So at the associate member level, you can join 2 free of charge, included in your membership, essentially. And at member level, you can join 3 interest groups, included in your membership. You can join more at either level. It's a small charge per group per year on top of that, but the number that you can join increases as you progress through membership categories. So yeah, there is a difference in member price, but it's to reflect the benefits that will support you and help you highlight your competence and your professionalism at that given career stage that you are at.
It's probably also worth noting as well, if you upgrade from associate to member, your subscription fee will increase by 10% over 4 years. So you won't automatically go from paying, the £82 for associate member straight to paying £136 for member MRSC. It would increase slowly over 4 years, so it would build up.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep on top of all the questions. Hannah, I think this one's around a fellow application. So thinking about their impact as an academic and whether that's limited to just the effect they have perhaps on the direction of the department, course design, etc., or whether that would also include their sort of teaching, supervision, etc.
Absolutely, yeah. It would be around departmental, but it would also be around, you know, an impact you're having on your students, and also to the chemical sciences. So if you're publishing as well, you know, your publications list will count towards having an impact in the chemical sciences. If on your CV you can include your H index, that's also useful to know. We do spend a lot of time looking at Google Scholar for academics H index, because it's something that the committee do like to know when they're reviewing. But yeah, absolutely, any impact that you're having within your department or within the course that you're studying, you're teaching, your students, it all helps towards showing the committee that you're having an impact. You're helping to inspire the next generation. So yeah, absolutely add it in.
Okay, another one here about applying to fellow. So they've perhaps this person's had one or more sort of career changes. So they've met the criteria in terms of seniority in their previous roles, but maybe haven't yet built that up in their current role. Would they still be eligible?
Yep, so it doesn't have to be 5 years currently. The committee will look at 5 years at any point across your career. So yeah, you know, if you were at a senior role prior to your current role, that would be taken into consideration, absolutely.
Okay, great. Someone here saying they're already AMRSC, and can they use the same referees when they're upgrading to MRSC, or would we need new ones?
It depends if that referee is still current. So when you're applying to upgrade from AMRSC to MRSC, we ask you to provide the nomination of the referee, obviously, and we'd like the referees to be quite current. So if that referee is still your supervisor, line manager, colleague, then yes, you can use them again. If they're not and you've moved on to another role, I would probably advise using a more up-to-date referee, so somebody who you are currently working with or being line managed by.
Okay, this person is asked saying they're the only MRSC, CChem working within their group, within a large company, looking to move to fellow. They can use their MD as a reference, but they have other colleagues, but they're neither registered with professional bodies or fully understand the scope of the work I do. A colleague who is registered but reports to him, could he be used as a reference? So I guess should it be someone he reports into who isn't?
So with fellow, ideally they would hold fellow themselves, but as Katie said, we appreciate that not everybody works in companies where there's lots of members to pick from. So we do accept the nomination of non-members. We wouldn't accept somebody that reports to you as a referee. They need to be people that are working in a senior role to yourself or working at the same level, and they need to know your career to date. So whether it's from a previous company or it's someone that you're collaborating with or that you're working on a project with, those sort of people would be ideal, but we wouldn't accept somebody that reports to you. You would be asked to provide another referee if that came through that way. But yeah, if you are really struggling, then do get in contact with us and we can, you know, maybe work with you a little bit on suitable nominations.
Someone here asking about upgrading from MRSC to FRSC. What if you have no academic publications to your name?
That's absolutely fine. You don't have to. Not everyone publishes, and that's no problem at all. If you have a publications list, do include it in your CV. But if you don't have patents or anything, that's fine. It doesn't need to be included.
Okay, that's great. Someone was asking about, they're based in India, and whether, firstly, that they can apply for member, and also do they get all the same benefits?
Yes, so we would welcome your application very much, and also yeah, all of the benefits would be relevant for you. So in terms of the applying for charter status, it will be exactly the same. We have quite a few different local sections in so networks in India as well. So you'll be assigned the one that's local to you, so that you can meet fellow members in your local area. You can join the interest groups as normal. Yeah, absolutely. That would be fine.
Someone asking about the 3 years experience to upgrade to member and whether the MChem research year would count towards that 3 years or not.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's probably more Hannah's area.
So yeah, if somebody holds an MChem, your final year, that fourth year, is the master's level. So we would actually take it from that fourth year, the 3 years experience. So people with MChems, MScis that are a 4-year undergraduate degree would actually only need 2 years further experience on completion of their MChem or MSci to meet MRSC.
Okay, there's still a few questions, but I'm sort of conscious of time. So what I'll do is, if we didn't get to your questions today, we can get back to you directly. We'll have your email addresses and things on the system. Someone was asking about whether they can get access to the slides. We will make a recording of this webinar available, but if you specifically want a copy of the slides, you can just email either me or Katie, and we can ping those over to you. That's not a problem at all. Thank you, Katie and Hannah, for your input, and thank you for all your questions this afternoon. I hope you found that helpful. If you've got more specific questions, or we perhaps didn't cover things in as much detail as you were needing us to, then like I say, do drop either me or Katie an email and we'll get back to you. Thank you very much.